It's December in Massachusetts, which really just means a few things: football, basketball, and hockey. Oh, and crazy weather. Today we're going to talk about the crazy weather that you find in Massachusetts in the wintertime and what you need to successfully make it through these crazy months. So let's go. So Massachusetts is the best place to live. And I'm from Massachusetts, so I might be a little bit biased, but hear me out. We have 4 seasons. We're near the ocean. We have Cape Cod. We have the islands. We have some of the best educational institutions in the world, along with the best hospitals in the country and in the world. So those are a few reasons why I think Massachusetts is a great place to live. One thing though you need to be aware of, if you're coming here for college, if you are traveling here for work, if you are moving to Massachusetts from outside of New England, let's say Tennessee, the Midwest, the South, couple things you need to be prepared for, and one is winter in Massachusetts. There's this saying that if you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a minute, and it's actually true. The weather changes so frequently in this part of the country that you could go from 50 degrees in January out for a run in t-shirt and shorts, and 24 hours later you're shoveling snow, all bundled up in your beam boots and North Face. So the weather really keeps you on your toes. And maybe that's part of the reason why I love Massachusetts so much. Our seasons truly are seasons. So with that being said, there are a few things you need to know about living in this great state in the winter months. First thing we're gonna cover is your car. You need a couple of things. One is you need a scraper, a windshield scraper. You can't go without it. It could snow anytime during the day. It could ice over. You definitely need a scraper. Second thing you need in your car, you should have at all times, is a blanket. If your battery dies, which it can because it gets so cold, it gets really cold really fast without the heat running. So you definitely need a blanket. And with that, you should always have some hand warmers as well sitting in your glove compartment. Hand warmers are a total lifesaver in a pinch and go really great with your blanket. Another thing you should have is a phone charger. You should always have that phone charger in your car. You've been stuck and your phone is like on 2%. So you should always have a phone charger. And speaking of being stuck, you should get your tires checked before every winter to make sure that they're in good condition. So if your tires are balding, get new tires before the winter. I know it's like really tempting to put off getting tires or anything like that because they're really expensive, but don't put it off before the winter, especially not before a snowstorm, because if your tires are bald, you are getting stuck. You should always have water in the car, and it's for the same reasons as if you get stuck. So you need the hand warmers, the blanket, and you should always have some water in the car. So those are the big things that you should have in your car every winter if you're in Massachusetts. For your house, a few things that you should always have on hand. You should always have batteries and flashlights. When the power goes out, you might lose it for a few minutes, you might lose it for a few hours, you might lose it for a few days, which has happened. So you really want to make sure that you have flashlights and you have batteries to power those flashlights. Because we know it's going to snow, you need to be prepared for the outside, and that is having a good shovel, a few shovels, and I would get shovels of different sizes. One shovel for your driveway and a smaller shovel for your steps and walkways that make it a little bit easier. A snowblower, if you can get a snowblower, it's always good to have, and don't go looking in December for your snowblower, and don't go looking right before you hear a snowstorm is coming. Get your snowblower well in advance. And the other thing is a roof rake, and a roof rake helps pull the snow off your roof. And they come like you can totally extend them, so you can really get really up high. So a roof rake is a good thing to have. So in addition to the shovel, snowblower, roof rake, you should have either ice melt or sand available because it's not always the snow we're gonna get. A lot of times it's the ice, or it's the ice that's under the snow. So you really need that because one, you don't wanna slip and fall, and two, if your mailbox is by your house and the postal worker has to come walk down your driveway and up your steps to deliver your mail, you need to have it safe for them or they will not come. And of course you don't want anyone getting hurt. So always have some sand or ice melt available. And if you have pets, make sure you get something that's safe for pets. They're gonna lick it off their little paws. So you wanna make sure that it's not toxic to pets. Since you're gonna be outside shoveling and snow blowing, you want to make sure that you are nice and toasty warm. So there are some basic items that you need to have on hand. Gloves, hats, scarves, a nice winter jacket that is waterproof, and snow pants that are waterproof. Boots as well that are waterproof, because not only do we get snow, we get ice. Having wet hands, wet boots, wet feet is so awful, especially when you know you have like a good hour of shoveling or snow blowing ahead of you. So make sure that not only are the gloves and jackets and all that warm, that they're waterproof. And with that, there are 2 tricks that I want to share with you. One is layers. Always wear layers. So instead of wearing like one gigantic jacket that you can't even move, you're better off wearing some layers and maybe topping it off with a lighter jacket or like some sort of rain gear or something. It's just easier to move, and when you're shoveling, you are gonna get warm. So it's nice to be able to take off a layer and then put that layer back on, rather than just taking off this gigantic jacket and just having nothing else underneath you. So definitely dress in layers. And then another trick is latex gloves. If you put latex gloves on and then put on your gloves or your mittens, it will keep your hands so nice and warm and dry. And if you throw in a little hand warmer in there, you are gonna be nice and toasty the entire time you're outside. 2 things that are really, really important. And one is your dryer vent. You want to make sure that your dryer vent is clear, because if that dryer vent gets clogged, the CO2 that is being emitted will not be able to leave your house. It will be very dangerous, deadly. The other thing is with your pipes. If it gets really cold out, what some people like to do to avoid pipes freezing is to open up their cabinets, their bathroom and their kitchen cabinets, so that airflow gets through under the sink and keeps the pipes from freezing. All right, so we talked about the car, we talked about the exterior of your home, the interior of your home, and gear. So now let's talk about some fun stuff. Part of living in Massachusetts and experiencing all the seasons is all the fun stuff you can do in the wintertime here. You can go skating in the Frog Pond, which is in Boston, and there are numerous other ponds and skating arenas that you can go to and enjoy. Rent some skates and enjoy the seasonal weather. You can also go sledding, and there's a ton of places you can sled that are informal in neighborhoods. Find a nice golf course where all the neighborhood kids go. But you can also go sledding. There are places you can go to do formal sledding where the sleds and the tubes will be provided for you. Skiing. Massachusetts does have places to ski. And when you think of skiing and you think of New England, you're mostly thinking of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. There are places to ski in Massachusetts. You have Ward Hill, which is just west of Boston. You have Blue Hills, which is just south of Boston. And you have the Berkshires, which is further west. And there's lots of other places to ski that I didn't mention. So Google places to ski in Massachusetts and you will find some great places. There's also cross-country skiing that you can do, and there's snowshoeing. So there's so much that you can do in Massachusetts. So don't let a winter go by without at least skating or skiing or snowshoeing or cross-country skiing or building the best snow fort ever. One thing you will definitely hear talked about in Massachusetts, the blizzard of '78. It is something that is talked about every year in February, which is the anniversary of the blizzard of '78, and that blizzard was before meteorologists could really forecast so far out. And of course, it was before cell phones and social media and all that. There were people stuck on the highway, schools were closed for like 2 weeks. There were people that had to get out of their cars and walk miles and miles to get home. It was crazy. It was a crazy scene. Everybody will talk about the blizzard of '78, so get used to it. And lastly, if you're going to live in Massachusetts, you need to know the lingo. So one of the most popular terms that gets thrown out there every winter is nor'easter. And if you live in Massachusetts, you gotta say nor'easter. So a nor'easter simply is when the storm is coming from the northeast. And it can happen anytime during the year, but mostly happens during the fall and winter months, of course, when it's snowing. And nor'easters are really brutal, but hey, it's a way of life here in Massachusetts, and we just make the best of it. Blizzard is another word that you need to know. A blizzard is just a really fierce storm. And of course, snowdrift, which happens here quite a bit. A snowdrift is simply when the wind pushes the snow, and what you'll find is a huge amount of snow in, let's say, one part of your backyard, and then the other part has like barely anything. And it's simply the wind that has moved the snow either while it's snowing or after the snow has fallen. So snowdrift, blizzard, nor'easter, know those 3 terms and you're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just a way of life here in Massachusetts. Hopefully you'll grow to love it, whether you're here for a short time or you're moving here forever. I certainly love it, and I take the good with the bad. And you know what? At the end of the winter, it makes for a good story. So anyhow, if you like this video, I would much appreciate a like. And if you want to learn more about Massachusetts, the housing market, things to do, and just life in general, please subscribe so you'll be first to know when a new video drops. Massachusetts, which really means basketball. Stop! But I like the idea. Okay, ignore that. It's my dog's barking. But I like the idea.